What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bring you incredible guests from all over the world, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is a public speaker, personal trainer, holistic health coach, mindfulness and EFT practitioner. We're going to get into that. Reiki healer, yin yoga instructor, also a nurse. Please welcome Brittany Cano. I was saying,
hello.
I was like, wait a second, I want to try and say like, welcome. You do quite a lot of stuff, all like in the healing wellness space that I absolutely love.
Yeah, it's all under the umbrella of wellness. It's a variety of things. I do catch myself. I'm like, all right, you can want to do another thing, but stay focused on what you're doing now, because there's so many things out there to learn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is. But I mean, I feel like when you have all these different techniques under your belt, it makes you a well-rounded person to work with because you have a lot of tools to choose from.
It does, because nobody's one size fit all. So it's like I have so many different angles in which I can support clients. So they really appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And so you were a nurse first before you started getting into the wellness space. Can you talk to us a little bit about your motivation? I read your bio and I love it. And I think that this is something that we need to highlight, is that your journey to becoming all these different things was because you were a nurse.
Correct. Yeah, definitely. About 10 years ago, working in ICU, and I'm still a nurse. It just looks different. I'm not in the hospital anymore working. It's more on the wellness front, but going through a life transformation myself. And then I remember distinctly this patient that I had in ICU, and she was a code blue. So her heart had stopped. She came to the ICU, wasn't doing well, young lady, early 60s. And I just remember looking at her thinking, man, so much of this is preventable, like type 2 diabetes, cardiac disease, high blood pressure. And it was really like, I've got to like help people prevent this, and that's really where I excel, is like supporting people and living a healthy life. Like, not that I'm not a good nurse, but I think because my passion is so strong for that. And I know for myself, right, like my own healing journey, that we do have that innate ability to heal and overcome. So I'm so passionate about bringing that to people.
Yeah, no, I think that's a beautiful thing. I actually just had a conversation with the previous guest about just the medical industry in itself is not exactly made to keep people healthy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So much of the time people are kind of stuck with that diagnosis forever unless they're open to, healing it. Some diagnosis we do have forever, right? But sometimes you get in the system and it's like, you do find other things are going on, and it's not always that your treatment course is going to really help you heal. A lot of times I think too, because it's like you get a physical treatment course, and then the mental health, the emotional health, the spiritual health, what's going on in your family life, all of that stuff is left out unless you go and find other support. You're limited on the angle in which you're approaching your healing.
Yeah, that's very true. So what was first for you? Like, what was out of all these different things that you are an expert in, what was the first one that you decided to do?
Nursing. Yeah, I became a nurse, straight out of high school.
After being a nurse.
Yeah. So after being a nurse, personal trainer and health coach.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So I approached it really from the fitness, nutrition, which I still do. And I was giving people eating plans, guidelines and fitness plans. And while they would do the workouts while they were with me, I was realizing people aren't really following their eating plans a lot of times. So then I'm like, okay, there has to be another way for this. Some people will do that, but a lot of people, you really have to get into what's going on in the mind, what's going on with your emotions, what's really driving these habits.
Yeah, that's so true. So you're a holistic health coach, which I think is awesome, and a mindfulness and EFT, emotional freedom techniques practitioner. What does that mean? I've never seen that before. So
you haven't? Okay, it's so cool. We can actually do it now, especially because some people will see the video. So, are you familiar with acupuncture?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have pressure points all throughout our body. And with EFT, we tap on different meridians or different points, and it lowers the body's stress response.
Okay.
So you start to feel a sense of calm. And then you can just do the tapping by itself, or you can start to bring in psychology. So you could be like, even though I've been really stressed out, I'm safe in this moment. Even though I've been feeling overwhelmed, I'm open to letting it go. And then you like go through different tapping points, like tapping on the side of the eyebrow, the little groove in the eye. And you might already notice, like I already noticed I start to feel a little bit calmer.
Yeah.
But there's other points you go through and you address whatever the issue is. And you might not know what the issue is. It might be like, even though I'm feeling blah, right? Like what is blah? And it's able to help you connect the mind and the body, right? And process through those emotions. Like I'll have clients rate their, let's say, anxiety before we start. Maybe it's an 8. And by the time we go through the process, they're like, oh, it's a 2 now. Or maybe they don't even have anxiety about the thing. I had a client I did it with. She couldn't go through the MRI. She tried to go to MRI. She was claustrophobic when she got there. So we did the tapping and we had her imagine like she was getting ready to get on the MRI table and go in the machine and get in that physiological state.
Yeah.
And then we imagined her tapping of her future self and going through it. And then the next week she was able to go into the MRI to have it done. So it can be great for like that kind of thing, flying, cravings.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's simple. It's easy. Like kids can learn it.
Yeah. And so you teach your clients to do it to themselves, or you do it for them?
I'd have them tap on themselves. And then like what I'll do is I'll take them through like an issue that they've had. So think about like something that's going on, like I've been having an issue with my spouse, we'll say, right? Or like a family member. And then I'll ask them like, what were the thoughts that you've been having about this? Don't edit them. Whatever you say, like, I can't stand this person, whatever, right? I would like, oh, what are the thoughts? What are the feelings? How do you feel it in your body?
Yeah.
What do you actually really want though? And they're like, oh, I'd rather just like forgive, or I'd rather not have to worry about this thing. And then how would that feel in your body? So ask them a lot of questions. And then we go through the tapping. And so they're able to address whatever the issue is from a lessened stress response. Sure. And then once they've created a sense of calm, then we start bringing in these other things, right? Like, oh, okay, like I'm open to seeing this in a different way. Maybe there's another possibility with this situation. Maybe I don't have to hold on to this like this. And then we start going through, and by the end, you know, you have that lower stress response and typically a positive outcome.
This one really like gave me goosebumps kind of.
Underneath the pinky right there. Yep, right there. That one's called the karate chop point. And you'll actually do that once during the process, and then you'll do all the other ones. Like even if you tap on your sternum here, like today I taught a class and we didn't go through all the points, but we just tapped on the sternum.
Okay.
And you'll notice like probably, oh, I start to feel just a little sense of calm here, a little more relaxed.
It's like giving me a twitch in my left lat. Is that normal?
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, when I did this and I'm doing this, it's giving me a twitch.
Oh.
Here.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't had anybody have it, but I don't want to say it's not normal, but it's interesting that it is.
Yeah, like what's going on?
You're calming down, maybe.
I'm pretty calm, okay? I'm pretty fair. I'm pretty wild, but this wow, that's you notice it right away. What it does to your body.
I had a client teach it to her 9-year-old. She came on retreat with us, and then she shared in our WhatsApp chat. She was like, my son came home from school yesterday and said, Mom, I don't worry about anxiety ever again in school. I use that tapping you taught me, and it really worked. So I was like, that's awesome. Like,
it's amazing.
It's super easy to learn. And, like, as long as you remember to do it, that's
yeah, right. Exactly. That is amazing. I love that. So talk to us about, so you also do retreats. So in addition to all these incredible things that you do to help your clients, you also do retreats for women, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Some husbands get dragged along and they come too and they have a great time, but typically tends to be almost all women on the retreats. And so I do a couple different ones. I do one that's an adventure wellness and one that's more of like a reset recharge. So that one's a little bit more laid back, but really it's like I always tell people it's the perfect environment for you to create healthy habits and really do that deep inner work while also having fun.
Yeah.
Also having a great time at a beautiful location, but everything's taken care of for you. Your meals are healthy. You're moving every day. You're meditating.
Yeah.
Practicing mindfulness. You have a lot of awesome people around you. So it's a great structure to create that change in your life. And I'm really big on supporting people on integrating it when they go back home. Like, this is one thing to be able to be like this here. And when you get back home, life's going to happen. And so what are the core skills that you're going to take away from this retreat to keep building on when you get home? But we've had people have amazing transformations, and a lot of people come back on the retreats. Like this next one in a couple of weeks is almost everybody who came with us to Costa Rica last year. That's such a great time. It was so fun.
That's amazing. So how long is the retreat for?
They're usually about a week, give or take a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you lead it yourself, or do you have people that you work with?
I do lead it. I've done them where like we're in a retreat house versus a retreat center. So the retreat center helps a ton. My husband also helps out majorly. But I lead, and then I've led with a friend before, but typically I lead them, and then I'll have some other teachers come in because I like to have the guests have exposures to different kinds of tools and healing. Like this one, we have an anesthesiologist who's going to talk about the biology of stress and also about breath, but really breaks it down. She's awesome. So the way she explains it really just people, I knew breathing was good for you, but when she explains it, she just connects all the dots.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That sounds awesome. And so how often do you have a retreat?
I usually do 1 or 2 a year. Yeah. This year we did one in Colombia, South America, because my husband's from there. And then we just have this one in Costa Rica coming up. And then next year we'll do Lake Atitlan in Guatemala. Have you ever been there?
No.
We did one there last year. This place is magical.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance, if you want to travel somewhere, it's so precious. And there's all these Mayan villages around the lake. It's calm, it's quiet. You have the volcanoes. Yeah, I'm excited.
My aunt's been to Guatemala, and I mean, she travels all over, but hopefully one day I'll add that to my list of a magical place to go. Definitely want to check that out.
I had a girl I worked with years ago, and her grandparents traveled the world. And I remember asking her, where did they love the most? And she's like, they actually love Guatemala the most. So it always stuck out. So when I was looking for retreat locations, we're in Florida, so it's closer for a lot of us. A lot of people come from Florida. So then I started looking, and that's how I came upon doing retreats there.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about what it looks like when someone comes to you. So is there like a typical reason that someone comes to work with you as a coach?
There is. I work with a lot of women who are at this point in their life where what they've been doing is no longer working. A lot of them have been majorly caretaking for everybody, or they like really kick. Can I cuss on this?
Yeah.
Wait.
Be yourself.
It's label free. They like kick ass at their job, right? And they're super mom, but they've lost themselves. And like, they're just really like to that point of who am I? What I can't keep going on. Maybe they just got diagnosed with like high cholesterol, or like they're AP all the time. Like they're like at this point where they're being honest with themselves and they're not happy with where they're at. So usually it's women who are at that like crossroads point, and they're like, I just need help with like a lot of stuff. So that's typically who I work with. And then we do a whole holistic process to support them on their journey.
Sure. And so then as you're walking them through your process, is that when you decide what techniques you're going to use with them? Since you have...
It is. No, but it's really organic in that sense, because it's really specific to what that individual needs. Like the first session is all about like getting to know them. Yeah. And then from there, there's some focus points. And each session is, what, like I'll ask them, like, what do you really want to focus on today? And most of the time they know, and sometimes they don't. But it's amazing. It's kind of like a vision board. The plan that they get will like have it. I have them keep it up somewhere where they can see it. But at the end of the process, they're like, oh my gosh, I have more confidence. Oh, I'm working out 3 times a week. Like, oh, I actually like am a little bit nicer to myself now. Like I'm starting to like dig myself. So yeah, it's awesome to see like how it happens, and it happens so organically, right? I have different things, but I never know ahead of time exactly what I'm going to teach them or what's going to come up in the session, because every moment is every session's a new session. I'll have some ideas, but it's just whatever they really need in that session.
That's awesome. Do you have like a success story of, and then I want to also touch on why it's important for women to honor who they are, regardless of their roles in their life. So a success story of a woman that came to you and like working with you, and what that looked like for her afterwards.
I do have a lady that I worked with, and when we started, she had like pretty crippling anxiety. Mom, little girl wasn't talking at the time, so stressed with that. Really had postpartum that was really misdiagnosed. Like she was struggling. So so bad. And then, so through our work together, she really learned how to self-regulate in a lot of ways and manage her anxiety. She's so funny too. Like I remember she sent me a picture like in her refrigerator because we do the whole, we do everything, the whole lifestyle change. There's like a sign in her refrigerator. She's like, "You're not hungry. Go sit down." It's like all of these things. She's just an amazing person and so fun and super authentic, super authentic. And now she's able to like, if she starts to have anxiety, she's really able to manage it. Like she like might start even like occasionally she said she's had like almost a panic attack, but now instead of like having to go to the ER, she's able to self-regulate. And just seeing her like start to trust herself more and like honor where she is in motherhood, and just like she's just so dedicated, and she's done such serious healing work. It's really impressive to see her dedication to her journey, and like she keeps showing up. But like in the time that we worked together, I've seen her grow so much.
That's amazing. So does she used to go to the ER for her anxiety?
She used to go to the ER for panic attacks. Yeah, they were crippling. Yeah, like she's like, the other day I started feeling and it felt like the ceiling was starting to cave in, but I was actually able to say like, identify like, oh, this is what I'm feeling, and able to do the breathing. That's really like the self-regulation things are things that I'm teach my clients to do. And I'm like, do it when you're not feeling bad, right? We need to practice all these things when we're feeling just fine, because when we do get into anxiety or we get into conflict or things like go crazy at work, otherwise we're not going to be able to remember to do them more than likely. But if we practice them when we're calm, then we can do them in those cases and help support ourselves.
Yeah, that's amazing. And now this is something that actually just came up for me, and I was telling someone close to me that, don't forget to honor yourself, because she's got a million different roles. She's the breadwinner for her household. She's a mother, and she's like, you don't know how much what kind of pressure is on mothers these days to be a certain way. And I just told her, I said, you're doing an amazing job. Don't forget to honor who you are, and I said her name, and it's just like, I think that when women become mothers, they really forget, or they forget who they are, and they lose touch with that. And I think it's so important for them to not lose touch.
Yeah, I do see that a lot. And at a retreat, that's nice because a lot of the women are moms, and some of them have grown kids, and some of them have small kids. And I think that's one of the things. I personally don't have kids, but we all know tons of moms. I think it's so important for moms to have real friends, right? Authentic friends that talk about how hard it is and like how you feel like you suck. I mean, anybody needs friends where you can just talk about like, sometimes I feel like it's hard, or I'm not doing a good job, right? Because that's part of the human experience. Like sometimes we feel like we're on top of the world and sometimes we don't. And then, as mothers, it's unrealistic, the expectations put on moms. Like we didn't always live in this such independent world. Like the whole community really would chip in and help out. Like, and the moms lived closer, and aunties and friends, and some communities, women would breastfeed other kids' children. Like, and that was very common. And now all of a sudden you're supposed to work full time. You're supposed to take care of the kids and be the best mom, and you're supposed to volunteer, all these things. And it's really unreal. I think it sets women up for failure, to be honest. It's like such a high bar, and
burnout,
burnout,
like just it breaks your body down. Totally.
Yeah, it's not realistic. And even statistics show that like men who, and I love men, but men who, I'm just talking about like all the responsibilities on women, men who don't work at all, and women who work 40 hours a week, those women that work full time still do more housework than the man who stays at home and doesn't work. So it's like, as women, it's like such a high responsibility. And I think as women, we also have the opportunity to like ask ourselves, like, is all of this necessary? Why am I thinking I have to do all these things? What if I didn't do all of them, and really check what the motivation is for all of that. Because a lot of us, like, I think we just have these expectations of ourselves, and it's put on us, right? Like, we'll get all the people will let us do all the things, right? Unless we say, hey, I can't right now.
Yeah. And that's what I said to her. I was just like, being a mother is just one of your roles. It's not who you are, and that kind of is like my label-free mission. Is I feel like women that are mothers specifically really have a lot of labels on them to be a certain way. And I think that is just so heavy to carry. I mean, it's like you're carrying the cross to bear, you know? And I think that it's unfair, and I can see the stress and the hurt and the depression in this person's life and in their, you know, when I see them, you know, face to face, it's just like, I can feel that, you know? And I just am trying to, and any women that are listening right now and you're feeling that way, Brittany's your girl. Give her contact.
Talk to me. Yeah. And you're not alone, right? That's a huge thing. Is like, you're not alone in that. We're struggling, whether it's with motherhood or we're struggling with, you know, anything at all, work, relationship, our health. We tend to think we're alone. And it's like, we're not alone. And if we can, you know, reach out for support, it can just change the trajectory that we're on.
That's very true. Where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more of your retreats or working with you?
Yeah, I was saying, find me at holisticnursecoaches.com, my website, and then you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn, all those links from there.
Love it.
So it's holisticnursecoaches.com. I also have a free video that you can get with the EFT tapping on there on a digital affirmation card. If you're interested, you can set up a complimentary call with me to discover elevated well-being.
Awesome. You guys, I'll put those links in the show notes. So if you connected with Brittany or know someone that could use maybe a call with her just to see if it's a good fit, do not hesitate to go click those links, go follow her on social, and yeah, just see where the conversation takes you. Brittany, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
Thank you. I would like to leave with, learn how to create that sense of inner calm. Learn how to regulate yourself. And the breath is a really great place to start with that. Some of my clients in the beginning are like, this is what you want me to do. Then they do it. And they're like, oh my God, life changer. So I love to teach this breath to help create a sense of inner calm. It's going to be a double inhale through the nose and really let the belly rise. And then the exhale is going to be with a sigh and a long exhale out through the mouth, because it stimulates the vagus nerve.
Okay.
Activates the parasympathetic nervous system. I tell people to do about 3 of those 3 times a day to start with. So it's that.
Kind of like when you do yoga.
Yeah, if you notice, like if we're stressed, we might be like, right, we kind of sigh anyway. So that sigh is our natural body's way of like calming itself, but to intentionally do that to help self-regulate is a good starting place.
Yes, I love it. I'm going to be practicing my breath. You guys should too.
You get join with some breathing.
3 pointers there on how to de-stress and calm yourself down. Brittany, thank you so much for being such a great guest. I love all that you do and helping women really come back to center and remembering who they are, because I think it's so important.
Thank you, Deanna. It was a pleasure to connect with you.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.